So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another album review of the Chill Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're going to talk about the band PYRES and their album Yun. And this is a band from Canada that's a mixture of slush with hardcore. I would say this, if you're a fan of bands like Mastodon, Baroness, you will enjoy this band. So the lead singer, Andrew Wilson, he's the singer, guitar player, and the main songwriter. I actually interviewed him on the channel, so I'll post the link somewhere if you haven't watched that interview, because we go deep into this record. So this is a very personal record for Andrew. It deals with a lot of focusing on loss and grief, especially with the loss of in a year. Andrew lost his father to sickness, and his sister was murdered. And with this album, he's exploring all that trauma and grief that a violent event like that, causes on the human mind. So it is a very personal record indeed, because of, what they are tackling on the themes on this album. So it's 7 tracks, and this band has elements of doom, grunge, post-rock, all infused into their sound. There are 7 songs, and there's some songs, I can say that every song is really good. Like, for example, the first song, Mono Neurbosa, which starts the record, started more like sludgy, more hardcore, more menacing. But then you have tracks like the second track, Some Not All Come Back, which has a very Mastodon type of riff. And also the type of vocals that Andrew's doing. It reminded me a lot of that band. So that song is all about, dealing with the realization that when you lose someone, a loved one, they're not coming back. And you have to, deal with the grief and, and without having that person in your life. The third song on the record, which is the longest track at almost 30 minutes, is A Depth Change in the Dead Sea. That one starts more like very soft guitars, and it takes its time to build. It gets more aggressive as the song flows. It's a song about, that's the realization where you go like, oh wow, where you're trying to deal with this trauma, this loss. And he compares it to being lost at sea. Like, maybe the mind is your sea and you're struggling to get by and to be able to move on with this awful circumstances that life brought to Andrew in this case. And it's a very beautiful song. I like it that they're not afraid to experiment with some clean vocals, and this song feels very much from the heart. And when I listen to this song, it's like the power of healing in music, because this is what this whole album is. It's a catharsis. It's a way to get all that trauma and negative energy out of your system. And Andrew did this through song. And I think that's a turning point in the album, because it's the longest track and it's a very important track. Then you have Granular Flow, which is the single that they released. And that was a more fast-paced type of song, very sludgy type of riffing. Again, very Mastodon Baroness type of track in the delivery. Same goes with the Nova Glacius and Lineage. Lineage really has this guitar tone to it that does remind me of classic Mastodon vibes, maybe Around the Sun type of vibes. But to me, the other highlight of this record, because to me their favorite songs is Some Not All Come Back, A Depth Change in the Dead Sea, and the last track, Old Dogs. That one is a more post-rock type of song. There's some clean melodic singing here that wouldn't be out of place in a PYRES record, which Like when I talked to Andrew, he was saying how that song is the most different song on the record. And yeah, it's a beautiful track. Like the guitars here are so soft, and you know, it takes you on a journey. It's the second longest track at almost 9 minutes. So there's some long songs here, but some shorter songs, and I think it gives the album a great pace to it. And I can say that, yeah, this is a fantastic record that I'm glad I got to listen to. I can say that, you know, not every human has experienced this type of grief or tragedy, but I think we all can relate to feeling grief and missing someone important in our lives that are no longer there. And every human being has traumas through living life. And I think this record does it in a way that it's not just so personal. It feels like you're almost reading Andrew's journal, and he's very vulnerable in this record. And that's why, you know, it can be heavy at times, but I think when a record can be emotionally heavy, I think that's when you have great music. And this PYRES-YUN is the perfect example of music used for healing. So, Couchers, please do not sleep on this album. I'm telling you, it's a great record, not just musically, but lyrically. And the whole theme of the record, it's a very personal one that I'm glad that, you know, like, not everyone is like, can put up themselves so out there like Andrew did on this record. So I want to know from you, Couchers, what do you think of PYRES and the album Yun? If you never heard of this band, please listen to them. This is their second full length, and their album before was a few years ago, like 10 years ago, great as well. So, and if you want to know more about the story of this record, check out my interview with Andrew, where we go deep into this record. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.